My name is Daniel Ward, and I'm a private detective. Not the movie kind. No long coats, no whiskey bottle on the desk, and no jazz music in the background. I work from a small office above a bakery that smells like fresh bread every morning and burnt sugar every afternoon. My furniture doesn't match, my coffee machine makes strange noises, and my cases usually involve cheating partners, stolen phones, or suspicious landlords. So when someone knocked on my door just after midnight, I knew it wasn't going to be about a lost cat. The city outside my window was quiet, the kind of quiet that hides things. The streetlights threw long yellow shadows across the wet pavement. It had rained earlier, and the smell of damp concrete filled the room. I wasn't expecting anyone. I had just finished reading an online article about some data theft scandal when the knock came. Soft, uncertain, like the person on the other side wasn't sure they wanted an answer. I called out, "Come in." The door opened slowly. A woman stepped inside, dressed in a dark green coat that looked expensive but was slightly wet from the rain. She stood for a moment, looking around my office as if she wasn't sure she had come to the right place. "Mr. Ward?" she asked, her voice low but steady. "That's me," I said, standing up. "Please, have a seat." She sat down carefully, crossing her legs and placing a small black purse on her lap. I noticed how tightly she was holding it. Her fingers were pale and thin, and there was a nervous energy in the way she glanced at everything: the coffee mug, the half-open blinds, even the broken ceiling fan. "Can I offer you some coffee?" I asked. She shook her head. "No, thank you. I've already had too much tonight." I smiled slightly. "I know the feeling." "What brings you here, Miss Mason?" "Clara Mason," she said. "I need help finding my brother." Something in her voice made me sit up straighter. It wasn't just worry. There was fear there, too, quiet but sharp. "When did you last see him?" "2 days ago. He left for work as usual, around 8 in the morning. He works for BlueNet Systems near the river. He never came back." BlueNet. The name rang a bell. They were a big technology company, one of those places that brag about security and privacy while selling your data to someone else. A few months ago, there had been rumors of a cyber attack, something to do with stolen codes and insider leaks. "You reported it to the police?" I asked. "Yes. They think he ran away. They said there's no sign of foul play." Her voice broke a little, but she forced herself to continue. "But Ethan isn't like that. He wouldn't disappear without telling me." I nodded. "Tell me more about him." She took a deep breath. "He's 29, quiet, smart, a bit shy. He doesn't go out much. He likes computers, books, old movies. He's been working at BlueNet for 3 years. He said he liked it there, but lately he seemed distracted." "Distracted how?" "He didn't talk much about work, but last week he came home late every night. He looked worried, tired. Then, the night before he disappeared, he said something strange." I leaned forward. "What did he say?" She hesitated, biting her lip. "He said, 'If anything happens to me, look for the silver key.' Then he laughed, like it was a joke. I didn't think much of it." A silver key. I wrote the phrase in my notebook. It was one of those details that sounded like nonsense until it suddenly made sense. "Did you find anything unusual in his apartment?" She nodded. "His wallet and ID are still there. His phone is gone, so is his laptop. But," she reached into her purse and pulled out a small folded note. "I found this on his desk." I opened the note carefully. The handwriting was neat and straight. It said only, "The truth is in the code." That was it. No signature, no explanation. I looked up at her. Was this written by him? I think so, she said softly. It's his handwriting. The rain started again outside, tapping against the window like impatient fingers. I read the note one more time. The truth is in the code. I put the paper down and looked at Clara Masson. Her eyes were tired but determined. Miss Mason, I said, I'll take your case. Relief flickered across her face. Thank you. I didn't know where else to go. I'll start with your brother's apartment tomorrow morning. I'll need the address and anything else you can give me. Photos, contacts, maybe someone from BlueNet I can talk to. She nodded quickly, pulling a small envelope from her purse. I thought you might ask. Smart woman. She handed it to me, then stood up. Please, find him. He's all I have. When she left, the office felt suddenly colder. I turned off the lights and sat by the window, watching the city glow under the rain. I thought about Ethan Mason, about his strange message, and about that silver key. I'd worked hundreds of cases before, but something about this one felt different. The kind of difference you feel in your gut before the storm comes. I took one last sip of my cold coffee and whispered, All right, Mr. Mason, let's see where your key leads. The next morning, the city woke up gray and restless. Clouds hung low above the rooftops, and the traffic outside sounded like an argument. I walked to Riverside Lane, where Ethan Mason lived, a quiet street just a few blocks from the water. His building was old but clean, the kind of place where everyone minds their own business. The hallway smelled like coffee and furniture polish. Apartment 4B was on the second floor. Clara had given me a spare key. She told me she couldn't face going in again. I unlocked the door and stepped inside. The air was still, too still. You could tell no one had been there for a while, but it wasn't abandoned. Everything was neat, almost too neat. The living room was small but tidy, with a gray sofa, a few movie posters, and a desk covered with computer equipment, cables, hard drives, and a large monitor that looked newer than everything else in the room. I started with the desk. A coffee mug sat next to the keyboard, half full of something that had dried into a dark circle. There were sticky notes on the wall, bits of code, numbers, reminders. One yellow note said simply, Ask about Project Helix. That was my first real clue. I took a photo of it with my phone and continued looking around. On the shelf above the desk, I found a few science fiction books, a broken digital clock, and a small silver model of a key. My heart jumped for a second, but it wasn't the silver key. It was just a decorative souvenir, maybe from a gift shop. Still, it was interesting that he had one. I moved to the bedroom. The bed was made, the curtains closed. On the bedside table was a picture of Ethan and Clara smiling at a park. There was also a small wooden box locked with a metal clasp. I tried to open it. No luck. I looked around for a key. Nothing on the floor, nothing under the bed, nothing inside the drawers. Then I noticed something odd. The carpet near the window had a small corner folded up, as if someone had moved it recently. I lifted it and saw a loose floorboard underneath. Classic, I muttered. I pried the board up carefully. Underneath was a small flash drive wrapped in black tape. Now we were getting somewhere. I pocketed it and replaced the floorboard. Next stop, the kitchen. It was spotless, almost unnaturally clean. A single plate was in the sink and a cereal box sat open on the counter. But the trash bin caught my eye. Inside, among coffee filters and paper towels, was a torn envelope from BlueNet Systems. The sender line read, Confidential, internal use only. The letter itself was missing. Someone had taken it out. That made me think. Maybe Ethan didn't disappear voluntarily. Maybe someone wanted something he had. Maybe something hidden in that flash drive. Before leaving, I checked the bathroom and the closets. Nothing strange. But when I returned to the desk, I noticed one more thing I'd missed earlier. The monitor light was blinking. I sat down and pressed the space bar. The screen came to life. A login window appeared. Welcome, Ethan Mason. It asked for a password. I tried the obvious. Ethan123, Mason, BlueNet, password. No luck. Then I remembered the note on the desk. Ask about Project Helix. I typed Helix. Still nothing. I sighed and leaned back. It wasn't going to be easy. I took out my phone and called Clara. Clara, it's Daniel. I'm at your brother's apartment. Did you find anything? A few things. He had a flash drive hidden under the floor. And there's a locked box. I'll check both later. Do you know what Project Helix means? There was a short silence. No, but I've heard him mention that name before. He said it was something important at work. Maybe confidential. All right, that helps. I'll look into it. Did you find the silver key? She asked quietly. Not yet, I said, but I have a feeling I'm getting closer. After the call, I took one last look around. Something about the apartment still bothered me. It was too perfect, too staged, like someone had tried to erase any trace of what really happened here. As I stepped out into the hallway, an old woman was standing near the elevator with a shopping bag. She looked at me suspiciously. Are you a friend of Ethan's? She asked. Something like that. I'm looking for him. She frowned. He was a nice boy, always polite. But there was someone strange here 2 nights before he vanished. My pulse quickened. Strange how? A man, tall in a black jacket, came late at night. I saw them talking in the hall. Ethan looked nervous. Then they went inside. Did you hear anything? She shook her head. No, but the next morning, Ethan left early. I never saw him again. I thanked her, took the stairs down, and stepped outside. The air smelled of rain again. A hidden flash drive. A secret project. A strange visitor. It was starting to sound like something much bigger than a missing person case. I looked up at the cloudy sky and said quietly, All right, Ethan, let's see what you were hiding. I went back to my office that evening with the flash drive in my pocket. It was small, silver, and scratched, nothing special to look at. But if Ethan had hidden it under the floor, it meant something important was inside. My laptop wasn't exactly state-of-the-art, but it could handle a flash drive. I plugged it in. For a moment, nothing happened. Then a folder appeared. Project Helix, confidential. There were 3 files inside, all password protected. One was called blueprint.doc, another helix.exe, and the last message.txt. I tried opening the text file first. A password window popped up. Password again. Ethan really didn't make things easy. I leaned back, thinking, what password would he use? His sister's name? His birthday? Then I remembered something from the photo I'd seen in his bedroom, the picture of him and Clara at a park. There was a small date written on the frame, April 12. I typed 0412. The file opened. It was a short message. If you're reading this, it means I was right. BlueNet isn't what it seems. They're selling private user data to foreign buyers. I found proof in the Helix project. Trust no one from the company. The silver key will unlock the truth. Destroy this message after reading. I sat there for a long moment, staring at the screen. BlueNet, the big tech company everyone trusted, was stealing and selling personal data? If Ethan had discovered that, it explained why he might be in danger. But what was the silver key? Then I remembered the small decorative key in his apartment. Could it actually mean something, not just decoration? I pulled the flash drive out, grabbed my coat, and went back to the building. When I returned to Ethan's apartment, the hallway was dark. Only a single light flickered near the elevator. I unlocked the door and went straight to the shelf where the small silver key stood. It was a simple metal model on a stand, nothing strange at first. But when I picked it up, I felt something loose inside. I turned it in my hand, and a small compartment opened at the back. Inside was a micro SD card. So that was the silver key. I smiled. You were smarter than they thought, Ethan. I pocketed it, locked the door again, and headed down the stairs. But when I reached the street, I noticed a man leaning against a black car near the corner. Tall, dark jacket, exactly as the old woman had described. He looked up when he saw me. Our eyes met for half a second before he quickly got into the car. The engine started and the car disappeared down the street. I stood there for a moment, the night air cold against my face. Whoever that man was, he knew I had found something. Back in my office, I inserted the micro SD card into my laptop. It contained one single file. Inside were hundreds of names, emails, and transaction records, proof that BlueNet was secretly selling private information to unknown buyers. Ethan had uncovered everything, and that was why he had disappeared. I printed a few of the documents and called Clara immediately. "Clara, I found what your brother was working on," I said. "He discovered something illegal. BlueNet's been selling user data. I think they caught him before he could go public." She was silent for a moment, then whispered, "Is he alive?" "I don't know yet," I admitted, "but I think he planned ahead. He wanted the truth to come out, no matter what." I sent copies of the evidence to a journalist friend of mine, someone I could trust. Then I hid the originals. The next morning, I got a call from Clara. Her voice trembled. "They found him, Daniel. The police found Ethan." "Alive?" "Yes, he's weak, but he's okay. He was hiding at a friend's place outside the city. He said he was being followed." I let out a breath I hadn't realized I was holding. "He did the right thing," I said softly. A few days later, the news broke. BlueNet executives arrested for data theft scandal. The company denied everything, of course, but the evidence spoke for itself. Ethan met me at a cafe when things calmed down. He looked tired, but relieved. "You saved my life," he said quietly. I smiled. "You did that yourself. You just needed someone to follow the clues." He reached into his pocket and handed me something small, the silver key, polished and clean. "Keep it," he said. "A reminder that truth is always hidden somewhere. You just have to look for the key." It's been 3 months since then. BlueNet is gone. Clara visits my office sometimes with homemade cookies, and Ethan is working as a freelance security consultant now, probably checking other companies for secrets. As for me, I still sit in my small office above the bakery. Still chasing small cases, still drinking bad coffee. But every time I see that silver key on my desk, shining under the lamp, I remember one thing. Even the smallest clue can open the biggest door. And that's why I still love this job.